heard all of them. Good evening, everyone. Let's call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this nice hot day. At least the storms, I think, are over for a while. Hopefully we'll get home before that starts again. We're going to start with a couple of housekeeping things. So first we have the approval of the June 10th, 2025 minutes, please.
I make a motion to accept the June 10th, 2025 minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And also a motion for the receipt of the June 2025 check register.
I'll make a motion we receive the June 2025 check register.
I'll second that.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries as well. All right, going to the mayor's report. Couple things. National Night Out will be on Tuesday, August 5th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Activities Building at the Carnival Grounds. So that'll be nice. It's a nice free event to bring the kids and grandkids to. Hope to see you all there. The yard waste pickup Hughes will still continue to collect on Wednesdays through December 17th. The branches have to be bundled. I know we go through this every single month. No loose yard waste, no plastic bags. They have to be followed. All the logistics of it. Trash and recycling collection. They'll begin collecting. I know I said this last month at 4 a.m. They've already started. They started on Memorial Day. Please take your trash to the curb the night before. As I said, keep in mind about the wind if we have a strong windstorm or something, because with the issue that happened in the city with that man that died from the heat, they have now changed it that they have to start early. So we have to do that. Paint can disposal issues. No paint cans can with undried paint in the trash. No, please do not place cans with undried paint in the trash. People are putting them in the trash can. They're having issues on the trash trucks. They have to be completely dried in either cat litter or shredded paper inside, and they have to be followed, or again, they'll take them out of your trash and they'll leave them back. Dogs have to be kept on a leash or some kind of chain or cord or something, not on premises of the owner, so your dogs are not running loose in everybody else's yard. Grass clipping and leaves, please do not blow or rake the clippings and leaves into the street, because we're going down the storm drain and we're starting to have some problems with clogged storm drains. So either sweep it up or blow it back in your yard or whatever you can do so we're not having that issue. We're trying to keep only the rain going down there so we're not out there getting people to clean them out. The Oak Notes newsletter is available on our website. You can certainly go there, or we do have them at Town Hall if you'd like one of those. Steve talk about that. They're much more involved, but it was great, well attended, except for, as you just said, 2 nights of rain, but very well attended. I was there and it was crazy even trying to get through, so it was great to see that. Matt Leister and I went, and Councilman Miller went to the MML, the Maryland Municipal League Conference down at Ocean City, got some useful information there, and brought that back and reported it. We, as promised last month, we did take a walk down Main Street before we got stopped because Castlefield had a water leak and we came back. But we did travel down there. We did take a lot of notes. We got about halfway through. We got down one side. We'll have to go back again and do the other side. But we plan to go back in town. A lot of Main Street, but also in town at other areas that are parked cars that aren't tagged, furniture laying out in the yard. We've seen it all this past week. So we will be enforcing that. The goal is to keep our town nice. There are a couple houses, and I don't have it written down right now. I know we talked about it, that their yard, they had everything weeded. It looked fantastic. And if everybody could do that, it would make our life a lot easier, and we'd have a much, much nicer looking town. Can't get much nicer, but a nicer looking town. So we're going to keep on that, just so you know that is a goal, and I probably won't make a lot of friends there, but it's going to start looking nicer. It's just going to take us a little time. So we're working on that. I think that's all I have right now. If I have anything else, I'll come back with it. Thank you. Matt, Town Administrator and Public Works Report.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Got a couple action items tonight to go through, along with some other stuff here. So the first thing is Christmas tree park lighting of the Seafield. The Maryland Board of Public Works has approved another $54,000 for the project. That is on top of an approval already of $138,000 that's been approved. We have $191,000, so we're in good shape to start that project. The wastewater treatment plant upgrades. CDM Smith continues to work on a response to MDE's questions, and that's about all I have on that right now. And the PFAS project. MDE did a site visit today to look at to talk to us about the project and do a field visit. So he saw the site. He also advised us that the approval letter to start the engineering design on that should be here by the end of the month. So hopefully beginning of next month, we can tell GMB that they can get started on their design, which would be really good to get that project moving. Mhm. No, we're good. Okay, the Manchester East Stormwater Facility, they are no updates on this as from last month. Janet hasn't given me any updates yet. The Main Street trees and sidewalks, that's still pretty much as it was last month, waiting on some quotes for that job. The museum reached out to BG&E Smart Energy Savers the other month. They put me in contact with 2 contractors to come in and look at rebates that would be available for lighting. So I have both of those quotes, and both of them will be no cost to the town to replace lights down there. The Watershed Action Plan, Hanover Land continues to do work down there. A lot of the field work has been done with the CCB students, and they are working on their report. And for the Hometown Heroes program, I talked with the August to see if they could help us out. Currently for Hampstead, they pay upwards, I think, $50 or $56 per banner, and the family pays the rest. And then they help, the town of Hampstead puts them up and takes them back down at the end of the year. So we're going to see if they can help do the same thing here.
And go back to number 6 real quick.
Okay. Yet? So I will need to reach back out and see if he's got a timeline at this point.
If anybody at home hears us stop, we're not having a delay. There's something going on with our speaker system, so we're trying to not speak when it's going off so everybody that's here can hear.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Give us a, sorry, did he give us, you said no timeline?
I haven't heard back from Andrew yet.
I'm going to touch base with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the code enforcement details for the month in front of you. The Equine Meadows project, they have off-site improvements, and I think they took their Mylars and documents over to get final approval, but I haven't heard an update on where they're at. I know they were working with contractors to get their stuff quoted. The Maverick One Solar project is still ongoing. Looks like they're getting. That's all I have for the report, and I have 2 action items from the town administrator's office. The first one will be the Seafield lighting, and you have the quote and memo memo in front of you for Musco and Eastern Sales and Engineering to provide and install the lights for C Field. Total project cost came to $201,181. Our open space money, we have $193,225.25. So the town will need to put out $7,900 roughly for the project.
Musco and Eastern Sales did Field D.
Correct.
And we had an excellent job out of those companies. So I make a motion to give the bid for the C Field lighting to Musca, Eastern Sales and Engineering for $2,181.
I second the motion.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We actually met up with them at the MML also. We saw them down there, so it was nice.
Yeah,
They were
thank you,
happy
Matt.
to see us.
That's going to be
Yeah.
my son.
Second action item I have for the council tonight is the energy efficiency upgrades for the historical center. HBS Solutions gave, I believe, a better proposal for how they want to replace the fixtures. It will be no cost to the town to do this work. BG&E's rebates covers everything. Are there any questions on this one?
You have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion. We go with the staff to HBS Solutions.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay. Moving on to our Public Works report from Rodney Coons. You have the water and wastewater data for last month. We pumped less last month than the month before. Staff training, they had a chainsaw safety training that was provided by Ward's Power Equipment. It was very beneficial for the guys that have never been out there to run a chainsaw. So they got hands-on experience running it and all the safety that goes along with it and the dangers. On our water wastewater side, went over PFAS a little bit, still waiting for MDE's approval so we can begin design. It's kind of the same with our ENR upgrade for the wastewater treatment plant, waiting on CDM Smith to reply to Matthew Marshall's comments. Our wastewater treatment plant sludge pump failure. We had a new pump arrive. It's set in place. We're waiting on some fittings to physically install it. And parts for the second pump are en route. I don't have an ETA on those.
We have some loose connections, but I don't think the microphone.
All right, I guess we'll work through this. Due to this pump failure, we were unable to press sludge at this time. We actually had to haul some out. We hauled 30,000 gallons out 2 weeks ago, just so we have room to keep operation going. Okay, the Manchester Farms Sewer Pump Station automatic transfer switch has failed. It will not transfer power under a loss of commercial power. We are currently pricing a replacement. We have one price, but unfortunately, the transfer switch lead times are anywhere between 12 and 14 weeks. So we're pursuing all options to get this quickly fixed.
Currently, are we having to manually switch it if the power goes out? Are we able to get an alert that the guys
Yes.
aren't here? If it happens in the middle of the night, they notify?
Yeah, we get an alert.
Okay.
So moving on to our parks and maintenance facilities. Our new F-750 dump truck has arrived. We had some training on it today. All the minor issues have pretty much been taken care of. There's still just a couple they're going back and investigate, but it functions as it should now. It's a very nice truck. So hopefully it provides years of service to the town. So,
Okay.
on the Christmas Tree Park fencing project, and the tennis court fence has been repaired and is back open for everybody's enjoyment. So, Department of Public Works has 2 action items for tonight also. Let's see if this is any better.
Testing, testing. All right, let's see if this is any better. All right, so first action item from the Department of Public Works is the mowing contract for our stormwater ponds. We received 3 bids. The third is at $15,400 a financial year, and it's a 3-year term. Per year.
We've used Myers in the past, and they've done an excellent job for the town. Even though their bid is $900 more than the budget, I recommend going with Myers Lawn Care Services. I make a motion to go with Myers Lawn Care Services for the amount of $15,400 for a 3-year period.
All right, I'll second the motion.
Anybody have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I would like to add that that was increased 900 for an extra stormwater pond that was included this year.
I was going to ask
That was turned over to us from a developer.
Understand. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Yep.
Okay, now the big one. So we received our bids for our
street paving, mill and overlay for the roads in town. We received 3 bids from CJ Miller, White Pine, and MT Laney. CJ Miller was low bid at $351,645. And we budgeted $551,000 for this project. Are there any questions?
I have a question, and I apologize for not looking at the specs.
Compaction.
And they're using the Petromat on York Street?
Correct.
Okay.
Is the 2-inch going to hold up to the truck traffic?
Yes, and that was actually, we have letters from these 3 recommending that that was all that would be needed, not a full depth restoration.
And they think it'll last how long? Like, did they give a?
And we receive a 1-year warranty with that?
I'd have to check the documents.
Okay. Yeah. I apologize. I should
No, it's
I should
okay.
have looked at the specs also. Go with CJ Miller for the street asphalt rehabilitation projects for fiscal year 26 for the amount of $351,645.
Second.
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And I think that completes my reports and action items for this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting the historical center worked out like it is. Looking at the savings that it's projected to save us.
Matt has been wonderful. He is super frugal, and he's very careful with all his spending, and he has really started to go through a lot of the things that in the last year needed some revamping, and he's doing a great job. Chief, police report?
Yep. So, like the mayor said, August 5th is National Night Out. I hope you all come out and join us. It's going to be a good night. Fire department will be involved. I'm not sure about the helicopter yet. Maybe the helicopter will be there.
I'm waiting to hear
We're
back.
still waiting to hear that. The carnival was outstanding. We had minor issues. I think the first night we had a problem with juveniles. One of the kids didn't go to the chainsaw training because he tried to bring a chainsaw to a verbal fight. But the chainsaw didn't get started. The sergeant, the officers pretty much banned them from the carnival for the rest of the week, and we didn't have any more problems. 0 problems. So it was a good night.
Excellent.
The weather was great. It's really cool when you're out there and it's a good evening and you got the bands playing and the crowds everywhere, and the funnel cake stand had a mile-long line. The ticket line was incredible this year. The ticket line extended into the parking lot.
She said they had to bring in
Like
extra
4
help.
Yeah, it's like 4 rows back. It was unbelievable. But it was great week, no problems, and that's always good to see. For the month, we handled 200 calls for service. We issued 153 citations and warnings. 5 were criminally charged, all traffic related. Our only real crime was a domestic. And out of the 200 calls, I got to tell you, I sent you an email today about looking into an open container ordinance and a couple others. We're having a real problem with Main Street. There's a select few of people down there. There's one group under one landlord probably accounts for 30 of the calls. It's the constant drinking, the fighting, the disorderly conduct, disorderly intoxication, the list goes on. And it's the same group of people over and over again. So we got to get a handle on that.
And we will talk about that. Also, as you know, we're gonna bring it up shortly, the nuisance ordinance, that is gonna be
That'll
dealt
help.
with, so that's gonna help a lot. Matt's been working on that with the attorney, and I think that's gonna really start taking care of some of the problems as well.
Because like when I get into it, like for the end of June, so we're 6 months in, the town only has 4 Part 1 crimes. We have 10 crimes in total. We've come a long way because we all remember early on when Main Street was a little off the hook. And I like to get a handle on it before it gets off the hook again. So a lot of it surrounds the drinking. So with that open container law and a couple other ordinances and laws, we can deal with those individuals. And of course, that nuisance law will help a lot. Definitely will help out with dealing with those recidivists where we're going to the same house 20 and 30 times during the course of 3 months. That's ridiculous. The one house in general this week, we've been there 5 more times. So it's like every night there's an issue. So that'll definitely help out. For the year, we've had 1,150 calls for service, approximately 1,000 citations and warnings. We only have criminally charged 42 adults and 2 juveniles. And again, for part ones, we have 4 part ones, 10 crimes total. So that's outstanding in my eyes. That's about it.
Thank you.
Chief, on behalf of the fire department, we'd like to thank you and your officers for the fine job you did. We did have big crowds, and whenever you get big crowds, you have big problems, but you quelled them all, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The fire department appreciates that.
Firework night was, that was pretty intense.
That was. Yeah,
Every possible place they could park, they parked.
they did.
It was
did.
unbelievable. It was
Yes.
people from all over. But we got them out in 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. But
But
good,
40 minutes, everybody was out, no problems.
yep, good job. Yep.
Thank you. Good job by all of you.
Okay, we're going to have an introduction of some ordinances tonight, and then at the next meeting, we will have discussion at a public hearing. First one is introduction of ordinance number 267, amending definitions of agriculture to prohibit keeping fowl, chickens, duck, poultry, etc. So that's going to deal with a few of the problems we've had in town. Also, ordinance 268, amending various provisions with chapters relating to animals, disorderly house nuisances, noise, property maintenance, rental housing, and vehicles, which we were just talking about. Introduction of ordinance 269, amending chapter 241, water relating to the installation of water meters from the inside of properties to outside via vault pit. And I think that's the only one. Introduction, the ordinance of 267, I'm gonna need a motion to refer that to P and Z for a discussion for next Tuesday. So if somebody can make a motion to refer,
I'll
ordinance
make a motion,
267.
we refer the ordinance 267 to the Planning and Zoning Committee.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, thank you for that.
May I ask one quick clarifying question? For the meters, are those for new construction or for current meters? So,
It will definitely be for new construction, but we have to go out and replace, or any of the old meters will be through systemic stuff or attrition. We're not looking to do a massive project, come into town and overhaul the water meters
But
that are here.
if there's one that's worn out, needs to
Yeah.
be replaced, does that fall then on the homeowner or the town?
It'll probably be on the town to put it in, and then we would go from there.
Okay,
But
I just don't want to
basically-
have, thousands of residents who have to dig holes.
No, it wouldn't. No, the residents wouldn't be required to move their stuff outside. If we had to put it outside, it would be the town doing the work.
Okay.
To install it.
All right, thank you.
I forgot to mention one thing. Water bills have been sent out and are due on July 30th. There is a rate increase beginning in October, which we talked about at the last couple meetings. And has nobody signed in? Is there anybody that wanted to speak today that didn't sign in? Okay. Oh, come on up. Where's,
I think you're actually going to be discussing this with the keeping of fowl and chickens.
we got to get the microphone up there.
I can speak loud enough. I don't understand this nuisance laws that you all have that I decided in a letter from your attorney about. You know the
Yeah.
Michelle Martin, 3053 Main Street. I was here on the same topic 6.5 years ago. At which time I was told I could have chickens in my yard, I just could not have a feeding pen. I don't have a feeding pen. I have 2 chickens, I have a letter from I do not have, nor have I ever had a rooster. So when you guys are gonna get into this thing about a nuisance, this whole town is surrounded by a farm. This farmer has chickens. This farmer has roosters. People that hear roosters might be hearing them from the barn that is 200 yards off of Monroe Street. So it's not my birds. How do you all decide what is a nuisance and what isn't a nuisance? Is the farmer's rooster a nuisance that people are calling and complaining?
He's not in town, correct? Are you speaking to somebody that's in town? You're in town.
I'm on Main Street.
Right.
His farm backs up to Monroe Street. It
Right.
backs up to Grafton. It backs up to Locust. There's a gravel road that runs through Locust and Maple.
In town, we're not. And I know we've talked about this because I've been in here several times when you've been here.
I've only been here twice and it was 6 years ago.
I was here.
Okay. When you guys get these complaints that you decide are nuisance complaints, do you vet them? Does someone go out and listen to see if I have
Is there a photo of that?
chickens?
Didn't we get a photo of that? Are they out in the yard?
I have 2 chickens left out of 4 that I've had for 6 years that none of my neighbors have a problem with.
Well, somebody has to call and complain for
Right.
us to know about it. So it
I
has to be,
understand. That's my question. Did you vet that complaint?
I'm quite sure, I don't usually talk to them. I'm quite sure, yes, go ahead.
Ms. Martin, I think you're wrapping the nuisance ordinance up into one thing. It's not about the chickens. It's
The
not just
nuisance is
about
what
the
I
chickens.
was
Hear me
citing.
out. I want to explain this to
Okay.
you. So the nuisance complaint is mainly for just that. For instance, say the police get a call 3 or 4 times to the same residence for the same problem, we're going to hit you with a nuisance complaint.
Right, you're gonna go out and
Okay,
check it.
right. So if it happened to be the chickens or a rooster, and the code enforcement officer comes out there, and sure enough, there is a rooster in the back of 3252 Main Street, and we've confirmed that, and we know that the rooster's illegal, and here we have this repetitive thing, there's gonna be a nuisance complaint.
I
So
have
it's
not had a
gonna
letter
be
from the
vetted.
town since September of 2018. The letter from the town attorney.
If I may, I'm just reading this right now for the first time, but if, it says, whenever it shall be a nuisance, it shall be unlawful for any person or persons to keep the fowl on the property. So if your chickens are not a nuisance, then there should not be a problem. Am I
No, we
interpreting that?
can't, we can't have any, in town, there's no fowl,
That's
no
how it was
ducks, no chickens.
previously.
Yes.
All right,
The underline is it shall be unlawful to keep.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
So if this is something new, why would it affect chickens that I've had for 7 years?
it's not new. You couldn't have chickens for
I-
years.
I've been 10 years and
Yeah.
chickens were not allowed.
I
I
bet,
was here 6 years ago
I-
when you all told me to take down my feeding pen, and I did. And I
if I,
put all my fences in accordance with code, and I haven't heard anything since September of 2018.
well,
Now I get a letter from an attorney.
well, I can't speak for everything from 2018. I was here then. I do remember, I actually remember you coming in about the chickens. And I think you had a couple more at the time, if I remember correctly. I
I
don't,
never had more than 4 chickens in my yard.
more than
and
what
they've
you
all
have
been
now, is what
fed.
I'm saying, correct or no?
I had 4 when I
Right.
began.
Okay, so and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was my understanding, in town, no fowl, no chicken, no ducks are allowed in town. I don't ever recall saying somebody could have chickens.
I can't find anything in any of your town regulations stating that. I found something about a feeding pen, you all said I couldn't have a feeding pen. I sat right here, or stood right here and said, can I have them in my garage? And somebody said, yes. You can have them in your garage. I've not had one peep from anybody. But the thing that bothers me the most is you all use this subjective arbitrary. Who vets it? That's my
what
question.
Chief was just telling you. If we get several calls about it, and we go out there, our code person goes out there, and the chickens are out there, and we keep going out because we keep getting calls, then it's a nuisance.
When was the last time they were at my house?
Last week? Last week.
You're at Bass and see the chickens all the time, and you have for 7 years.
I actually went with him,
Okay.
so we did go
And
by.
the call was that I have a rooster and it's making too much noise, correct?
No, the call was that you have chickens, and we're not allowed to have chickens in town.
No, there's no ordinance that says you can't have chickens in town.
Excuse me?
The problem
Go
that
get it,
I
Mary.
have is whoever made the complaint and whoever did not research the complaint stated that I had a rooster. At that point, they slandered me. When someone from the town gave that information to the town attorney and he put it in writing, you now have libeled me. I do not have a rooster.
Okay,
I
that's
have
not,
never had a rooster.
if I recall, that's not slander. We didn't say anything about you, particularly calling you names or anything like that.
Would you like me to get the letter?
I'd like to see where they called you names in the letter.
You didn't call me names,
Okay.
you lied about me. That is slander and that is libel once you put it in writing. And that's the issue that I have.
Would you like to speak on that, Chief? Because I'm
Anybody coming out and saying that there was a
slander. All right.
You advertise your town as being rural. You literally on your website have 3 pictures of the rural, tranquil community, one of them being a freaking farm.
Well, it's funny you say that because I just spoke to somebody, and I won't tell you who it is, but it's at the meeting, about changing that. Not that we're not going to stay rural, because we
Well,
are
it's
still
fine.
rural.
But you
I'm
can,
speaking. Are you going to let me speak for a second? We're still rural, okay? It doesn't mean we can have horses in town. We can't have that. And we just talked about this.
they did 150 years ago, everybody had a horse.
A lot of things happened 150 years ago. I wish it still was like that. I have horses, but they can't be kept in town, and I live in town. So mine have to be kept up in Union Bridge. So I understand what you're saying. I'm the mayor. I'd love to have a horse in my backyard. I can't. They won't let me. I have to pay board to have a horse up in Union Bridge.
The point that I'm making is I was accused of having a rooster. You got a complaint about a rooster. The rooster is probably from the farm that surrounds the town.
I know what they were thinking when they saw your chicken. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now because I saw it. I was brought up on a farm.
Fine.
The chicken, they mistaken your chicken for a rooster. I can tell you because your chicken looks. If you look at it and you don't know different, tell me if I'm wrong. Has a little bit, it's not like a plain chicken that lays eggs. It has a little bit of a, I don't know what you call it, it's not like a turkey, like a beard, but it has the whole. So I think people that don't know better, and I'm not, think it's a rooster, but they weren't just complaining only about the noise. They're complaining about having chickens that you can't have, chickens smell, chickens this, chickens that.
You know what smells?
What's that?
When that farmer dumps chicken manure on his soybean field twice a year.
True, and that's
When he cleans
he's
out
on a
his
farm.
barn, it's.
He's on a farm, and it's
Right.
unfortunate, but I mean
So
it's
when
fortunate.
people complain, maybe you should explain that to them. Perhaps it's
but
not
our-
the 2 chickens, perhaps it's the farmer.
They're not, but it's people that are close to. When it's not people complain, and I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. I was in Wise one day, and there was this farmer in there, and all I could do was smile. He had on these cover overalls, and this lady was saying, "It really stinks out here because they're," and you know what he told her? Go back to the city where you came from.
You know what?
But that's a farm. We can't do that in town. We're in the town of Manchester, and we have certain guidelines we have to go by, and they are what they are. And we're not supposed to have chickens, and we're not supposed to have ducks because somebody else had ducks that we're dealing with. You can't have any of it. And I don't want to be the bird in the bad news. I wish we could have lots of animals. We can't. There's people that live in the neighborhood where we live too close to each other. They won't allow it.
That's my point exactly. You live close to each other in a rural community. There's a barn, literally 200 yards from town property. People smell that. People hear that.
But if
they
it's
need
not
to
in-
understand that that's just part of the community. I was living with a farmer for 5 years. He called that smell the smell of money because
Right.
they make a lot of it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but in town, unfortunately, the rules and laws are different than living on a farm.
Well, my chickens, number one, are hens and they don't look like roosters. I don't know who
I-
told you that or what you're
I don't
looking
have
at.
any, I don't have
But
control
here's
over
the
that.
problem we have. In this letter, please be advised that I am the town attorney for the town of Manchester. We now understand that you have gone as far as to have added a rooster. I don't know whose understanding that is, but it's a blatant lie. No one came out and investigated it. No one knocked on my door. No one said, "Can we see your rooster?" So it's a falsehood. And a lawyer put it in a letter and sent it to me to threaten me.
Okay, so we will contact the attorney.
Do
We'll have
that.
him correct the draft the letter to say chickens. You still can't have chickens,
I
unfortunately.
don't see anything in here that he's quoted that says, I can't let them run free in town, which they never have. They have a nuisance because they make noise or a health issue. That's all it says.
We had another issue down on Westminster Street where somebody, and not your case, had a rat go in there, had several rats go inside their house where there was chickens near there. This was a few months ago, and they've gotten rid of the chickens. And she was here too, and she was very upset. She did not want to get rid of them. And unfortunately, I had to tell her the same thing. I mean,
We don't have a rat problem because that farmer has barn cats and we have a feral cat population running
yeah, we went
around.
through that several years
Then
ago
I
too.
have taken 8 of them to Metro Feral and had them neutered, so they're no longer reproducing.
We went through
Because
that.
I'm a responsible pet owner, and I will be responsible for even those that aren't mine.
We went through that. We had to take them and have their ears clipped and, be neutered
I've
and then
done
bring
8
them
of
back.
them, 8 of them, and they still have new ones that come up all the time.
I went, I'm sure you remember that, right, Steve? Remember that? It was really bad.
They are really
Um,
bad, because the ones that aren't neutered come up and runs the ones that are neutered off. And then they have no safe habitat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But again, the farmer probably has chickens,
But again,
cats,
he's
keeping the
not,
rats away
I
from his
understand what you're
chickens.
saying, but he's not in town.
Right, but his cats come into town.
Miss Martin, what farm are you talking about? Because that is not a working farm. The one below Monroe Street, over off of Grafton Street, that's
No,
not a
there's
working,
There's a red barn there.
that's not a working farm.
But
they
there's
have no-
soybean fields.
Yeah, they have soybean, but you said they have chickens
They
and
have
roosters.
had chickens, they've
So
had roosters.
you're assuming that that's a working farm, just like our attorney assumed you had a rooster.
He didn't assume, he flat out stated it. There was no assumption
So
about it.
I don't see the correlation there.
I don't understand why you're telling me
And-
it's not a working farm if the man has soybean fields.
Soybean doesn't
But-
count for a working
But
farm.
you said he spreads manure. It's different than manure.
I bet you 10 to 1 it's chicken manure that he's spreading.
No,
That's what
that
it
is, it
smells
is
like.
not, it is not.
Well, maybe he stopped, but a couple years ago he was pretty.
Is that,
No.
is that property leased by the person off Chalk Road that we
That is-
approve the
that is
chemicals that
correct.
he uses each
That
year?
is correct.
Oh, he sends
Yes.
in the chemical list of what
He
uses.
rotates the crops between soybean and corn.
Mhm.
Yes, he's been doing it for years.
And it's all chemicals and
Yes.
sprays,
Organic.
Correct.
organic
Right,
things and that kind of
organics.
thing. And none of the things on the list that he has ever listed in all of the years
No.
has been animal
Somebody out
animal
there
manure.
had a rooster a couple years ago because we all heard it in the mornings.
You don't hear it now, do you?
Nope.
No.
But somebody evidently is hearing a rooster because I've been accused of having a rooster.
Well, if that's what they said, that's what they said. We can speak to the attorney, and he can resend a letter that states about the
He doesn't
chickens.
need to resend a letter.
Well, I want him to correct it. If you say you don't have a rooster, then you don't have a rooster, I believe you, but you still can't have chickens.
I'm not getting rid of my chickens, so I'll just hide them somewhere like I.
This is where we were 6.5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe your response was, if you can't see them, you can't stop me. I will keep them in my house if I have to.
I haven't had a problem with none of my neighbors.
But we just
Every
saw
one of my neighbors told me they would come up here and testify or get affidavits signed because none of them have a problem with my chickens.
But you admitted they're no longer in your house. They were in the yard. You saw them,
They're
what, a
never
week
in
or
my
so ago?
house.
Or your garage or whatever. So they're out. Chickens are classified as agricultural animals in the town code.
Mine are pets.
Their products or byproducts can be used or consumed. That makes them agricultural, whether they're pets or not. And I will be the first to tell you, she doesn't live in town. We've had to tell other families who have had chickens that they've said are support animals, I'm sorry, you have to get rid of them. They're classified as agricultural. That's what we told you 6.5 years ago. It was that they were agricultural as defined by our parameters, and unfortunately you couldn't have them.
Then why have you not said anything in the past 6 years?
I can't
That's a
answer
good
to that.
question.
That's really.
And we
But-
are in the process of looking at some of those. We have different things that we've been working on for several years, trying to get loose ends tied up.
Right, last month we said we were coming down hard on code enforcement. We now are going to have a separate code enforcement person for
Well,
all
have
this
it
stuff.
something other than just this subjective, arbitrary, it's a nuisance thing. Set a decibel level for noises or something like that.
It's not just noise.
But Chief explained it's not necessarily noise nuisance. It's calls for service. It's the houses that we're going to, what did you say, 5 times this week? Those are nuisance houses. Those are an increase in the amount of service that has to be provided to you. So by our employees having to come and look and check, that creates a nuisance because it continues to happen. It's not necessarily a noise nuisance.
That was what was indicated in this letter, that it was a noise nuisance and they were running at large through the town. That's exactly.
He
what
said
the
running at
attorney-
large through the town on that letter.
Whenever it shall be a nuisance or menace to health, it shall be unlawful.
Okay,
So
he
I
didn't-
don't know what the nuisance is because it's vague. I don't know what the menace to health is because that's vague. Oh. Specifically, the property is in violation of section 122-3S, unreasonably loud, disturbing, continuous, irritating, or unnecessary noise. How are you qualifying that?
If that's what we get a complaint for, I mean, I'm not gonna sit out your house and listen for chickens. I don't have time to sit out, but I did ride by and see them in the backyard.
Are
And
they bothering anybody?
evidently, because we got a phone call.
You got one phone
I don't
call
know that,
in
and I'm-
6 years. Well, let me see the complaint then.
We don't release if you called and complained about somebody, if you called and complained about Kelly, I wouldn't go to Kelly and say, Mrs. Martin called and complained about you. We don't do that.
What if somebody has a beef with me and just made it up and called you anyway? You don't even verify that it's truth?
We went by, the chickens
Did,
were
they
out in the yard.
witnessed them. The town administrator said he saw them.
Yeah, they've seen them for 6 years.
Okay, well, Matt hasn't, because he just started 6 months ago. So
Well, the other guys have because they come by
Okay,
all
well,
the time.
this is a mute issue. I'm not going to sit and argue it, but the point is, we now and always have not been allowed to have chickens. I was here 6 years ago, and I don't recall anybody telling you you could have chickens. Were you here? Did
I
you?
was. I remember
You did
the
not say
comment
yes.
being
The
made.
lady that was sitting right here, I think she had dark hair, and she said, as long as I said, can I keep them in my garage? And then, yeah.
Oh, I sat through that meeting and I didn't hear that, so I don't know. But I can tell you, as long as I've been here, and it's been 8, 9, 12 years, nobody could have chickens.
So basically, the ongoing issue is that you are now going to set up a new guideline.
No, it's always been the guideline. We're just going to start enforcing it.
For 2 chickens.
For
If
all
you
of
have
the
one or
chickens
you
in
have
the town.
12, everybody's chickens. The people that were on Main Street that had it for the autistic children, unfortunately, they had to get rid of them. And if I have to make somebody like that get rid of them, everybody's going to get rid of them. And it's not just me; it's the town, not me, the whole town.
I suggest when you set up these ordinances that you not make them subjective and arbitrary, because that's what you've been doing. Because if you're talking about noise, you need to define that by decibel levels.
Doesn't
or
it all
how
say
frequently-
health? Like, birds can have sicknesses, illnesses. They cannot be in town. People live too close.
Do you know where the birds are the most sick and most filthy? In the processing plants where they raise your
Well,
chicken
we don't have any
breasts,
of those in town, so
but you eat that meat.
no, I don't. So that doesn't mean I eat it.
If this is gonna continue, could she be forced to use the microphone? We can't hear her.
Well, there's nothing else really to say except for we're gonna enforce. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to enforce it, and I'm sorry to tell you that because I don't like to do it to anybody, but
That's
the
fine.
rules are the rules.
That's the problem. Your rules are not dead set rules. And if you leave it subjective and arbitrary, you will have people not understanding where you've crossed over the threshold.
Well, this is no longer arbitrary or any, there's no gray area here. Foul not allowed. That's why we're discussing it.
Okay.
As of next month, it'll be in writing.
Yeah, so it's no gray area, there's no arbitrariness here, there's no nuisance, you can't have chickens or fowl.
But when you talk about noise levels also, I mean, there's a lot of dogs
But
that bark in
that's
the
all over
neighborhood.
with now. Now it's just bottom line, no chickens.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
Years old, so.
Okay. But so all that gray area, defining nuisance, that's gone. It's no chickens.
Surrounded by a farm. The entire town.
Okay, is there anybody else that wants to speak? Thank you. Okay. Councilman Nazarod, do you have something?
North Carroll Business Alliance met on June 19th. It was a presentation by the library offering all their services. Turns out you can get passports there. So, didn't know that. I don't know when their next meeting will be. I will find that out and get that to you all. So I apologize that I texted the person in charge of it. No news to report in terms of intergovernmental relations, except we had a few representatives here for the carnival. Matt, that was an awesome job for the carnival. And if you do buy the bracelets, it does turn out like you get your money's worth for kids. Especially it's like, it's $20, but it's like, they can keep riding.
Right.
So
Let 'em
we
keep
got our
going.
money's worth. 11, a 7, and a 4-year-old. So thank you for putting that. It's a great community effort. That was awesome. My kids enjoy it.
Thank you. Councilman Miller?
I attended the bid opening for the street resurfacing project with Matt, Rodney, and Dave Brown. And also, I want to remind the council in Rodney's report that CDM Smith, our designer for the ENR project at the wastewater treatment plant, will be here hopefully at the August meeting. Hopefully.
Yes, if they get their questions from MC Dean squared, or
They've,
MDE squared away.
they've been trying to come in for 2 months. They will not be coming here until they get MDE straightened out. They want us to agree to something, and MDE has not, wants more answers, and they are not answering them.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
told,
why, that's what the holdup is.
MDE's not answering CDM.
No,
no,
CDM is
CDM
not
Smith is not answering MDE. They've had questions for 2.5 months now.
Oh, really?
So that's
Yes.
why they're not here yet. They've wanted to come for the last
Yes.
2 meetings, and we said,
They
you're not
wanted to-
coming until you
Right.
clarify some things.
Yeah, they wanted to come the past 2 meetings, last one and this one. I told them we need a clear path to the finish line before they come
Correct.
down.
Correct. Gotcha. Very good. That's it.
Councilman Miller?
I'm still adjusting. When you say Councilperson Miller, I went to speak.
You know, I was getting ready to say Warner.
So everyone's kind of touched on Carnival, those kind of things, the National Night Out coming up. I do want to let everyone know on the table out front, and we're also going to be posting it on our town things. The town, in collaboration with Haley's Wish and the Manchester Volunteer Fire Department, are all working together for a designer bag bingo, and the funds collected through Haley's Wish are going to go towards the inclusive playground that they built several years ago in Christmas Tree Park. We are looking at securing the, hopefully, final funds that we need to be able to put down the surfacing to make the playground itself more wheelchair accessible. So if you're available, Sunday, August 3rd, tickets are available on Haley'sWishPlaygrounds.com, and things will be going up on the town website within the next couple days. The doors open at noon, and the games begin at 1. Local businesses and things, if you're interested in supporting, they're definitely looking for sponsors, and, you know, kind of reach out and see what you can do.
Thank you. Councilman Pacelli?
One announcement from Charlotte's Quest on July 19th with a rain date of July 20th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it's free, is the Nature Fest. The activities include pond net dipping, discovery stations, nature crafts, vendors, firefly catching, and more. There is live music. They will also have guided hike, story time, a bonfire bash, and that's all on July 19th or 20th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it is free.
Councilman Cuneo?
The Planning and Zoning Committee met on June 17th. There was one item we reviewed. They were looking for approval of the Manchester portion of the water resource element, part of the county comprehensive plan. Some of the board members had some questions about some of the data and some of the MDE methodology, so we pushed back, and we're going to have a representative from MDE here at the next week's meeting to review that. So,
Thank you. We don't have a youth representative for the rest of the summer until school starts again, so we're good on that. So, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Can I
Oh,
have one?
yes.
I forgot this.
That's
I'm
okay,
sorry.
go ahead.
So Manchester Baseball is having a tournament July 19th and 20th right here. There's going to be some food trucks right down that way. Jen might be talking about the fire truck down there. So it's a lot of travel programs that have been built up over the past year. And there's some teams coming from out of town. Hopefully it generates business for the town as well. You can go to Charlotte, you can go watch baseball, and then you can go to Charlotte's Quest and do some net dipping or something over there. So that's going to be July 19th and 20th, and you'll see a lot of traffic here, but it's a lot of teams from out of town, Pennsylvania and all that, coming here to play Manchester Mustangs travel baseball team. So hopefully, what's that? It's going to be Friday night, probably like 6 to 9, and then I was going to get with you on this a little bit more, Chief. And then it's probably going to be about 9 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. But we're still finalizing the schedule, so. Yep. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.